Hi, this is Matt Donegan at Challenger Stories. I'm here with Lewis Birch. Lewis is one of the owners of Paulson Traffic Management. These guys are one of the leading specialists in supplying temporary traffic managements in the south of England. Lewis, brilliant to speak to you
Hello.
today. Thank you so much for joining me. We've spoken before, and it's been a real pleasure chatting. I'm looking forward to this because I'm thinking I'm going to have a conversation with someone who's built up the business over the last few years, had some challenges along the way. Going to have a nice open discussion here. So Lewis, tell me, what's your background?
Hi, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me on your podcast. So yeah, the background is been in the industry for 20 years. Started off as a trainee operative working for a company called Amy Lafarge back when I was 18. Throughout that time period of being in the industry, managed to work my way into supervisor positions, management positions, until it got to a point where the opportunity was presented to me to set up on my own.
Right. And how long have you been setting up on your own then?
So actually, this year, next month will be our 10th year.
10th year. So what made you start the business? What made you do that crazy thing of leaving a job, going out, setting up a company and bringing all that lovely, wonderful stress with you?
I think I'd won too many drinks one night, and silly decisions are made, aren't they? No, seriously. Uh, I, I worked for a number of companies over the years, and what became evident to be being in supervisor or management positions is that it felt like I cared more about the client than my employer did. I would be on the phone 24 hours a day. I would be working Saturdays and Sundays and evenings trying to make sure that the work was delivered correctly and to a high standard. And the only time my senior management seemed to get involved was when something maybe went wrong. They weren't there for all the good that we did. They just only contacted me when something went pear-shaped. And after a while of doing that, why am I allowing these companies to create this stress in my life? I could just do this for myself, create my own stress. And as I said, an opportunity did present itself to me, and I decided to take it and never looked back since.
Okay. Do you have any, so 10 years, right? And you've
Yeah.
come from, you didn't come from a classically trained kind of, if that's the right term, business background. It's not like you did an MBA. It's not like you went through the banking system or investment or anything like that. How was it when you first started the business? Was it a kind of scary time?
Yeah, very scary for numerous reasons. One being, as you said, I had no experience of running a business at all. There's a big financial risk when you start on your own. There's no certainties you're going to get paid a monthly wage or an annual wage. It's very much you only earn what you deliver, if that makes sense. The only money you make is if you put a job out. There's no work level. Just had my fourth child about a month before we decided to set up on our own. So yeah, 4 children, one a newborn, hours and hours of working, going out, working day and night and not being at home was really, really tricky situation for us all and a real tough decision. But sometimes you just got to jump in with both feet and go for it. And thankfully, we're still here 10 years later.
So, Lewis, you did something which is quite unusual there because a lot of people will make the excuse in their own mind or whether it's one of based on reality of this isn't the right time for me. I've got 4 kids. I've
Yeah,
just had another one. I've got 4 kids. My newest has come along now.
yeah,
This can't be the right time. I need security. I need that warm blanket around me. But you went and did it. I mean,
yeah. I think
that's quite a big step, my friend.
yeah. Well, I think as I say, there was an opportunity, and sometimes when opportunities are presented to you, you've got to take it. That's what in business. That's one thing I'm learning even to this day. You've got to be able to make decisions quite quickly. Um, because if you don't, that opportunity can just run away and you'll never get that opportunity again. And I just thought, this opportunity is staring me in the face. If I don't take it now, there might not be another time to do it. So we had a very sensible conversation at home with my partner. Full credit to her, she backed me 100% of the way and always has done. And thankfully, the risk paid off. And there is that saying, isn't there? High risk, sometimes high reward. And it was definitely a very high risk situation or very high risk moment. And it's at present, it's paid off.
So has it been plain sailing all the way ever since then?
No, no. I mean, the first few years were okay. They were good, because we were small. It was myself, my father, and one or two others. At the very beginning, it was just myself and my father. I was running around like a busy bee, working day, night, weekends. In the first few months, took on another member of staff to help me with the workload. And the first few years were very good. You got very little overhead, so you had a lot more margins to play with. A couple of years ago, we expanded, had probably 30 members of staff, and actually, when we got to that point, that's when we noticed things get very, very tough. All of a sudden, your overheads are through the roof. We've had to move to bigger premises, more vehicles, more equipment, see higher salaries, and we found ourselves, yeah, really struggling at one point. The margins seemed to get very small on us very quickly. Nothing to hide. I wanted this to be very open. We had a very bad year back in 2023, and it's only even we're still feeling the effects of that today because it just has a really big knock-on effect. So we've taken the decision now to try and streamline and bring things back in and build again. So yeah, business is definitely not plain sailing, definitely not for the faint of heart, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fairly common attribute in a business that to want to grow. And
Mm,
that's right, because a business that isn't growing is dying.
mm,
And that's a fact, you know. So to want to grow the business, but then there's the other flip side, which is to be fast to profit and slow to growth, is what a lot of
mm.
businesses and service industry in particular, that's what they do. And which, when you want to really accelerate the business, can be utterly frustrating.
Yeah.
Was it a rapid escalation, or was it a relatively slow growth that got you to that 30 employees before you decided you needed to cut?
No, it was very rapid. So we got ourselves involved in a contract, and obviously, quite naively, we thought would be the making of us. We said, "Great, so such a wonderful opportunity," and we literally see our turnover nearly double in the space of a couple of months. It happened very, very quickly. But off the back of that, you find you're constantly reinvesting to support the growth. That was probably the mistake. It was at that time too big a step, and we didn't have the experience or the knowledge of managing or controlling that growth properly. Now I know that we've been through it once now. I'm confident that if it happened again, we would manage it a lot better than what we did before. But as we said earlier on, I haven't done a business degree or anything like that. It's learning every day on the job, and sometimes you make mistakes. You just have to learn from them and move on.
Yeah, of course you do. So what's the plans now? What's happening for Paulson's?
As I said, we're steadying the ship, really streamlined. We've taken a good look at our staff, the people we have around us. I think that's so important to have the right team around you. You're only as good as the people you have around you. So that's what we've really concentrated on doing over the last year or so, is looking at the staff we have in here and saying, actually, you're not right for that position. We're going to move from that position. And we're near enough there now. And there's some opportunities coming up in the next few months, which we hope we will be able to be involved in and maybe be successful in. And we will try and grow the business again over the next sort of 24 months.
Okay, great. So what's encouraging in that is that you've been through a very stressful time. You did the
Mm.
rapid growth thing, didn't work out. Rapid growth is can be really detrimental to a business. So by scaling back, you've clearly done the right thing. But that's not deterred you from wanting to grow the business. You still want to grow the business, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You said it earlier on. You have to grow. You have to keep the growth in the business. I don't think you can necessarily, especially in our industry, you can't survive being too small. You will tick over very nicely, but if you want to be successful, you have to have the desire to keep growing and being able to supply some of these bigger contractors, and your name has to be out there. You know, you have to be. When I drive around, I see some of the bigger firms, and I just see another one in the south of England and say, "Oh, look, there's one of our sites. There's another one of our sites," and it's that passion, that desire that's going to keep us going.
Yeah, we'll do. Well, why do businesses come and work with you as opposed to your your competition?
I think it's because of who we are as individuals. Other TM firms or traffic management firms, we can all deliver the work to the clients. That's not a problem. Delivering a set of two-way temporary traffic lights or closing the road for these utility companies is easy, but it's the communication, the aftercare is what a lot of the clients are looking for, and that's something that we promote a lot in this business. Anyone that comes into the office of senior management is drummed into from the beginning. You're on the phone, you communicate with everything, whether it's bad news or good news. Communication is key to the clients. If you're running late to site, they need to know that we're running late to site. There's nothing worse than bringing a client and telling them the same old story. Oh, we've had a puncture. Oh, a van's broke. They're just nonsense stories. Just tell the truth. We're stuck in traffic, or we've messed up, we've made a mistake, we apologize, but we're going to be there at this time. And we've noticed, as throughout the years we've been going, clients appreciate the honesty. They don't like to be messed around. They like to know what's going on at every time, and they know they can contact me personally at any time. Like, my phone is on 24/7, and that's a lot of feedback that I get is, Lewis, we know if there's a problem, we can call you and you'll resolve it, and it's resolved pretty quick.
Is integrity important to you?
Yes, absolutely. It's something that I've been brought up with my whole life, and I think it goes a long way when you introduce that into a business.
It's right. And that feeds down to your staff as well, doesn't it? It informs the behavior of your team.
Yeah, we always try to be open and honest with everyone within the business. As we said, we've gone through some hard times over the last 24 months, and I've been open and honest with everyone that's worked here about what we're going through. And actually, the response we got back from the staff was everyone was willing to chip in and help out and do their part to keep the business going and keep the business where it is. And that open and honesty approach has really helped us. Same with the clients. The clients that I've had since day one, through them hard times, I even told them, we're a bit slow. We're not where we were this time, but we're doing this to try and change things. And we got the same response from them. That everyone's been really, really great.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's important, right? To be open and honest, because if you highlight that, you get the right people inside the business. You don't get toxic employees, or there's a less chance to get that. You retain your clients and you get to sleep well at night, which is obviously are you managing to do that despite all the stresses?
Always, always, because I know that no matter whatever happens, I'm trying to do things the right way. I'm not trying to pull the wool over someone's eye. I go to bed without a guilty conscience. I go to bed knowing I've done in my heart what I believe is the right thing. So at night, when I turn that light off, my head hits that pillow, I go to sleep easy.
Lewis, out of all the last 10 years, you've had that period of rapid growth. You've got reset, you're rebuilding, you're restructuring, you're learning how to grow again.
Right.
All those learnings, was there one thing in particular that you think you would have done differently with the business?
I think if I could turn back time, I probably would have employed someone a lot earlier on in the business that could help me structure it and manage it slightly differently. Some with a lot more experience than myself. But I think, like a lot of small businesses, you're trying to manage. You're looking at your annual turnover. You're looking at your profit, and you're going, oh, that I'll save money here and I'll save money there. And I think if I could go back and take someone and just pay that little bit extra money to have someone alongside me to help you make decisions that's been there and done it before, it probably would have saved us money in the long run.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I see that all the time, and
Yeah.
it's illuminating, because it's not like necessarily anybody knows your business better than you do, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's just a different pair of eyes, a different viewpoint, and that can really help. That can really help. Oh, I completely agree. I mean, even in my business journey, 25, 30 years of running businesses, as experienced as I am in many different industries, I'm constantly learning. And
Yeah.
and if you ever think you're running a business and you're going to stop learning, you should get out of business. Get out of business now, because you're never going to stop learning running a business. That's the best thing about business. Constant
Yeah,
knowledge.
it's actually something my father said to me at the beginning, is that you can be a busy fool.
Oh, yeah.
And it took me a while to understand what that meant, but now I get it. You can wear too many hats, you can be trying to do too many things, and in the end you get so wrapped up in what you're doing, you're actually not making any money anymore.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to ask you a question here, and it's based on a statement. And the statement is, from my experience, it's really tough being a business owner. It's incredibly rewarding, but it's very tough. The real challenges are often you're the last person to get paid, you're the last person to get a rise. You're the first person anybody complains to. You're the last person that anybody pats on the back and says, well done.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, your employees think you're wallowing in money. And as the business owner, you're the one that's going to come out of this smelling of roses. And they don't appreciate that, in fact, you're the one carrying the risk on your shoulders. Having made all those statements, would you choose to be an employee again, or do you always want to be the business owner?
That is such a good question because I often think that, and some parts of me think I would like the stability of knowing that I've got a wage coming in and I know I'm going to get it regardless. But as I said previously, when I've worked for people, I'm really passionate about what I do in this industry. I'm really passionate about what we deliver. Some people call it sad. I don't know, but I actually really, really do like the industry and the job that I do. And I sometimes struggle when I have worked for other businesses. I don't believe they share that with me. And that's where I would say I don't think I could work for anyone else again because I find myself being frustrated that I work for you, but it seems like I care more.
Yeah.
Whereas when I work for myself and my own business, no one cares more than me. So it's perfect.
Yeah. Well, the proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, Paulson's, you've built the business up over 10 years. You've had up to 30 employees. You're kind of resetting. You're going back and doing it again. You're going to do it a lot better this time. You've learned from your mistakes. You've still got the appetite to grow the business. It's pretty clear to me that you're a business owner, not an employee. Some people, it's very hard to go back. Very hard to go back to being an employee, having owned a business, and particularly when you've had a high degree of success, which you have had, and that's to be revered in many ways. It's tough running a business. I have ultimate respect for anybody who runs a business, and when they've been doing it 10 years. Do you know there's an interesting statistic that says when a business has been going for more than a certain number of years, and I believe it's something like 5 years, when it gets to a certain point, how long it's been running is often how long it will last after that point. So if it's been running for 10 years, it's likely that it's going to continue for another 10 years. So you've
Well, I
got
hope so.
you've got 10 years ahead of you. Do
Yeah.
you still want to be running the business as it is right now in 10 years, or do you see yourself going off and doing other things as well?
I see myself, if the financial situation were to change with me personally, I can see myself venturing off and doing other bits as well as having Paulson's, but actually just venturing off into different avenues and different industries and trying my hand at different things, taking everything that I've learned from Paulson's and seeing if I can implement that into different industries. I honestly think what we've been through over the last 24 months now with what I've learned, I think it actually, it's taught me so much. So I've got so much experience now that I can put it anywhere, and I could drop into any business now and go, that's not an issue. I've been in worse scenarios than that. Look, we just fix it by doing this. We just fix. What are you stressed for? Because there has been times here when we talk about sleep and I lay my head on the pillow and thought, Jesus, how are we going to pay that bill at the end of the month? How are we going to do that? But we got through it.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. So yeah, I do see myself venturing off and trying different things.
Yeah. I can see it as well. I can definitely see it, Liz. I think you've passed the point of being an employee. You're now a business owner. You've joined the club. You've been a proud member of the club for 10 years, my friend.
Do I get a badge?
Yeah, you get a badge. Yeah. No one else can see it but you. But you get it. So I'll send you a badge if that's going to make you happy.
Yeah, just a paper cutout. Yeah, that's fine. I'll pin it. That's fine. Pin it to my chest.
Listen, the gunner's badge that you've got directly behind you on the wall there is a good enough badge. Just keep wearing that one.
Yeah, unless you got any Tottenham fans watching right now, they won't agree.
No, of course not. Of course not. So listen, one last question, and it comes down to that 18-year-old self. So if you're going to you bump into your 18-year-old self walking along the street one day, what would you advise them? What would you tell them?
Always be yourself. Never try to be somebody that you're not, because you'll be found out. As we said earlier on, I was not really well educated, to be honest with you, and I found myself in at times going into meetings with people that are more educated, and I'm trying to act like them. You get found out really quickly. Be yourself and never be afraid to ask questions, because there is no such thing as a silly question if you don't know the answer. And more than likely, people are willing to help and explain things to you if you ask. Don't just sit there in silence and pretend that you know.
I agree. Everything you've just said, absolutely agree. So if you bump into my 18-year-old self, could you say that to them as well?
No problem.
So Lewis Birch, Paulson's Traffic Management, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you today. Love speaking to business owners who've gone through that journey. 10 years is really admirable. I'm sure there'll be at least another 10 years. I think you're going to be a business owner the rest of your life, whether you like it or not. So you're learning your lessons along the way. And look, I'm inspired by speaking to business owners like you. You're the glue that holds us all together. So thank you so much for your time today. Really, really appreciate it. Birch, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Matt. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Bye-bye.